Hi, we will continue with part 2 of the basics of contributors to your credit scores. We dealt with payment history and amounts owed in the first part of the presentation, and here we'll talk about the rest. So, next on the list is length of credit history, contributing 15% towards your credit scores. The longer history of responsible credit behavior you have, the better for your score. The age of your oldest credit line and the average age of all your credit lines together are taken into consideration. In the FICO study, high achievers had an average age of credit accounts of 11 years, and their first credit lines dated back an average of 25 years. What effect, if any, do you expect to see on your credit scores from closing a credit card? First, some things to note. You still have to pay off any balances you owe even if you've closed the card. Otherwise, you continue to pay interest and other charges. And if you don't make even minimum payments, the negative information does get reported to the credit bureaus as usual. Any pre-existing negative information regarding that card still stays in your credit report until the 7 years are up. Immediately upon closing the account, its associated credit limit is removed from utilization calculations. This may cause a jump in your credit utilization ratio and drop your score. Say, for example, you have 3 credit cards on which you put a total of $6,000 a month. The total credit limit on these cards is $40,000. So your utilization is a nice 15%. You haven't been using card A too much since the other cards work better for you now. So you decide to close it. What happens next? Your total credit limit falls to $20,000 and your utilization jumps up to 30% and your score sees a drop. If, on the other hand, you can keep your utilization low despite closing the account, you should be fine. Otherwise, as long as you're not paying an annual fee on the card and there are no other downsides to keeping the card open, just keep it. A closed credit line stays on your credit report as a trade line for 10 years from the date of closure. So there is no immediate effect on the length of your credit history. Once the 10 years are up, that account will fall off your credit report, and at that time, it may hurt your average length of credit history if you'd had the account for a long time. This is especially important if it was your first open credit line or if your other lines of credit are much newer. So, they say closing a credit account is usually either neutral or negative from the point of view of your credit scores, hardly ever positive. There may, of course, be other benefits to closing a card, both tangible and behavioral. Credit mix accounts for another 10%. Going over some basics really quickly, there are 2 kinds of credit: revolving and installment credit. Revolving credit, the classic example being credit cards, where the lending institution specifies a maximum loan amount called the credit limit. Account balances vary depending on needs. There is interest and carry forward charges if not paid in full every revolving period, usually monthly. They are set for lower limits but charge higher interest since they are unsecured loans, that is, not tied to any collateral. Next comes installment credit, like mortgages, student loans, auto loans, and other similar loans. They have a fixed loan amount, the principal. This and the interest on it is paid out in equal monthly amounts over a pre-specified period of time. The loan duration. They have higher limits than revolving credit and are usually secured by a collateral, such as the real estate being financed by the loan, and hence the interest rates are lower than on revolving credit. Having a little bit of both kinds of credit represents a healthy mix for scoring purposes, though you don't have to go get or keep a loan simply for this reason. FICO high achievers have an average of 7 open and closed revolving trade lines and 4 with balances. New credit makes up the last 10%. How many new accounts you've opened in the prior 12 months, and how long has it been since your last new account was opened? For FICO high achievers, it was 15 months since their last trade line was opened and 9 months since the last inquiry. New credit is tracked by the number of inquiries into your credit report. When you apply for a new loan, the lender asks the credit bureau for a credit report, and it gets flagged as a hard inquiry. A single inquiry may not make a huge difference to your score, but a number of them in close succession will. It signifies a desperate need for credit. The exception to this is allowed during rate shopping. For example, when you're seeking a new mortgage, you will want to shop around for the best terms. As long as all the inquiries with regard to this mortgage fall within a 45-day window, it is considered to be a single inquiry. Please note, VantageScore allows only a 15-day window for rate shopping. The good thing is that most mortgage lenders still rely on FICO scores. This may be more important for auto or other loans. As opposed to hard inquiries, soft inquiries do not negatively impact your score. Some examples are you checking your own score at annualcreditreport.com or directly from the credit bureaus, institutions you already do business with checking your report, and unsolicited credit card offers or mortgage pre-approvals in the mail. Remember, asking for an increase in credit limit may sometimes result in a hard inquiry, so be sure to find out. Often, the credit card company will increase your limit up to a certain level without pulling your credit, and anything over that will trigger a hard inquiry. Therefore, don't ask for an increase in more than one card at a time. The multiple credit pulls may ding your score significantly. And don't ask for an increase right before you're planning to take out a big new loan when you don't want to risk even a small dip in your score. As we wind down, I want to point out that our discussion regarding these factors holds true in general, but the proportional importance of each factor will vary depending on your credit file. For instance, if you have a short credit history, your payment history and credit utilization become all the more important. With this, we come to a close regarding contributors to your credit scores. Thank you.